Hello everyone and welcome back to the SteemTrail Gaming podcast. Today is the 22nd of April 2018. My name is Kralizec and I will be one of your hosts today. The second host is Tygergamer. Hello Tiger.
Hello.
How are you doing, man?
Great, how about you?
Man, I'm better than last week. That's for sure.
Well, good.
But it's still not ideal, you know. Still have to go visit like a ton of doctors, and it's going to be the same next week, and I'm just getting so fed up with it. But yeah. But we're not here to talk about my health. We're here to talk about video games.
Yes.
So Tiger, what great games did you get to play this week?
Well, I got to play halfway through a Yakuza 6, which so far I'm really enjoying. I'll go and say this right now. It's great. Like if you haven't played any of the previous Yakuza games, this game actually has a thing where you can actually go and read up on all the previous 5 games, so you can get caught up with the story and all that.
I'm going to assume that was a great idea, since I'm going to assume a large portion of, especially the Western audiences, haven't played the previous ones.
Yeah. And not to mention, early on, you actually get the main character who's in a coma, and you actually get to see some of the characters that have appeared in previous games, but who will be a focus in this game as well. So, I think if you haven't played Yakuza, but you want to get into the series, this is a great starting point. Even though I would recommend starting from the beginning, which I want to do myself.
When did the first one actually come out? It's a fairly old series, isn't it?
Yeah, the first one came out back in 2005.
And that's always weird when you say 2005 and then you realize that was 13 years ago.
Yeah. That's
always so weird. Do you always have the same feeling as I when somebody says, "Oh, that was 10 years ago," and you're always like, "Yeah, so that was in 1990." How would you compare it to the 5th installment?
I haven't played the 5th one. I only got to play 0 and a little bit of Kiwami.
Okay, so compared to those.
Well, in 6, unlike in Yakuza 0. Yeah, in 0 you actually have 3 different fighting styles, whereas in this one all you have is one fighting style. So
okay,
so it's a little more focused on just that one fighting style.
So do you think that's a bad thing that it limits you, or do you think it's a better thing that it allows you to be more focused? Let's say. Honestly,
the way I played Yakuza 0 was I just remember he was my main fighting style. One character was it was kind of a beast style, which had a lot of good crowd control, so I just kept on using that.
And does the style in Yakuza 6 have similar features?
Yeah, your fighting style in this game, yeah, it has a lot of crowd control moves in it, so yeah, I think it's still pretty good.
That's nice to hear. So, would you give it a recommendation? Or
yeah.
Okay, let me ask a different question, because I think since I know both of the games you play this week, we were talking already before, but would you recommend people play Yakuza 6 or start from the 1st?
I would say, well,
remember, you're talking about the average gamer.
I know. The only way you can play through the entire series, thankfully they remade the first one, which is Yakuza Kiwami for PS4 now. But if you want to go back and play 2 before Yakuza Kiwami 2 comes out, you have to go and get a PS2 and a PS3 just to get through the first 5 games. So, I would say, if you absolutely want to see what the deal is, give Yakuza 6 a try.
Okay, that's actually a fair deal, I think. Okay, I got to play a game this week called Vandals, and it's all about street art, about spray painting, and it's actually presented in a very cool way. So the game itself is just a typical puzzle game. You know, you're a guy and they're policemen.
Yeah.
You have specific places you can go to, and you need to plan your moves so they don't catch you. So the gameplay thing is decent. It's nothing really spectacular, to be honest. The thing that makes the game really interesting for me, and I'm not the biggest fan of street art, to be honest. It's not really my thing. I know my brother would love this game. He used to actually go out and like spray things. But there's a lot of like history hidden in the game. There are like these little photographs that you can collect almost in every level. And it will give you like a piece of trivia like, this was one of the most famous spray painting ladies called Pink, and she did a lot of her work in this year in this city. And there's an image of one of her works. And, you know, when people are really good at street art, I can appreciate that. My problem with it, it's usually the average person doing spray painting is just shit. Like, truly shit. But when it comes to the good ones, I can really appreciate it. Like, those things can be literally pieces of art. And usually those guys don't do it, like, on random walls. They just, like, somebody pays them to actually do a spray painting on their building. So that's the thing, I'm completely fine with it. And the game itself, it's decent. I forgot its price right now. Let me quickly check the price. The price is $4.49, so it's not expensive. It looks decent. I just wish I could paint, because you know you can paint in the game and I just can't paint. I think the best thing I painted in the game was when I was bored and I wrote piss once. So it's like, oh damn, this is the thing I actually do well. Right, that's obvious.
Yeah.
But yeah, for $4.99, if you like street art and you want to learn the history of it and you want to do it in a fun way, Vandals is a good choice.
Awesome.
Okay, what else did you get to play apart from Yakuza?
I also got to play God of War, the newest one.
Okay, so everybody's been praising it, so I'm just going to assume that it is up to standard.
Yes, it is. It really is.
Is there something you don't like about it?
Well, I'll say if you're like me and you're a fan of of the series, it takes a minute. It takes a minute to get used to the combat. But after that, it feels natural. So,
in what way do you mean you like getting used to the combat?
Well, in previous God of War games, you had these weapons called the Blades of Chaos, which is like blades with a chain where you like it's like a long range type thing. You like hit enemies no matter how far away they are. Whereas in this game, you just have like an axe, and you gotta get up very close, and it's it takes a minute to get used to it.
And what do you say to the change of mythology? Because as far as I'm concerned, this one is in like the Norse mythology. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you're right.
So do you like that, or would you prefer if it stayed in Greece?
After what occurred in God of War 3, I think they made a good choice switching mythologies. Yeah.
Do you have like a favorite god from the Norse mythology?
Nope. Nope, I do not.
How can't you be a fan of Loki? Loki's the best. And I'm not talking about Marvel Loki. I'm talking about original Loki. He was just like a super awesome jerk.
Well, I have not found him yet in that game, so I think the only you know, I don't want to say any more because
spoilers.
I'll say this. Yes. like me, I actually like did a blackout in this game, and it paid off. I was like, oh my god, this game is freaking awesome. So if if you have a PS4 and you want to play God of War, go play it. Do not listen to it. Don't go and spoil yourself. This is something that you need to play. You just need to play it yourself, just see what it's like.
Okay, so definite recommendation as I can see.
Yes, and yes, just so y'all know, both these games I played this week are PS4 exclusives. So
yeah, that's Sony and Microsoft for you. Sony in this particular case.
yeah, well, hey, you got PC exclusives. So hey,
Oh, we got so many more exclusives than you guys. Like,
yeah.
we just don't call them exclusives. We just call them games, you know.
Yeah.
And I actually think the next game, I'm completely unsure of this. Let me quickly check this out. I think the next one is PC exclusive. Yeah, it seems to be. Holy crap, it already has a wiki page. I didn't realize that. I should have been using that. So the game is called For the King. And it's your very typical turn-based RPG. Interesting, they're actually calling it a roguelike tabletop adventure game.
Huh.
And I can see actually why. So the roguelike stuff is fairly easy. Everything is generated from scratch every time you play a new game. And that's actually something I very much enjoy in games, because it gives them a shit ton of replayability, like insane amounts. I'm going to skip the tabletop for a moment. The adventure is also pretty fairly obvious. It's an RPG. The tabletop part comes from the fact, actually, when I've been playing this, I'm getting a lot of Dungeons and Dragons vibes. I'm going to pretty much say that these guys are big fans of tabletop games.
Okay.
It has like a shit ton of positive reviews, like 163 mostly positive from all reviews. It's very positive on average. It came out on the 19th, so it's 3 days already, almost 2,500 reviews. So this thing is selling like crazy, I'm pretty sure.
Awesome.
When it comes to the game itself, you play as a band of 3 characters. You can either play as one of them or as all 3 of them. If you play as one of them, then, you know, other people play as others. You can either play on local or you can play online multiplayer. And it's all just about questing in the world, going, killing monsters, getting quests done, and getting better loot and getting better. And it's really, really hard. Like, I've died every time I got to level 2. Level 2. Because I always overestimated, like, oh, this is a level 2 dungeon. I'll just go there with my level 2 party and then get smashed by level 4 bosses. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of turn-based games. I prefer real-time combat. But this one is actually pretty nice. And I think I'm going to buy this one for my girlfriend because she likes these sort of games. And I think it could be quite fun to play. Me, her, maybe one of her cousins.
Okay.
And it's not the most expensive. Its full price is $20. Right now it's on a 20% sale, so it's on sale for $16. So I'm going to give this one a definite recommendation under a condition that you are okay with heavily complex games. Because that's the only thing I think is bad about a game. It's overly complex. There's too many stats. There's not enough explanation. The game is in a dire need of a tutorial. Like, seriously. I wish I actually had, like, a stroke of brilliance and looked for the Wikia, because there is a wiki page for it, and it seems to be fairly well managed. Like, there's a lot of stuff already here done. Like, all the items are here, all the encounters are here.
Wow.
I should have been using this maybe have even been set up by the devs, and if yes, then great job, guys. That's something that shouldn't be underestimated. So if you're a fan of hard games, complex games, and tabletop, this is definitely for you. And it's essentially playing Dungeons and Dragons, but you don't need a DM.
Okay.
Okay, did you get to play anything else this week?
Nope.
Me neither. Then I guess it's the time to go on to the news.
Yes.
And this week we begin with a bit of a throwback to last week's news. So some of you might remember there was a anti-abuse initiative called Bully Hunters started last week. It doesn't exist anymore. It was shut down, all the sponsors backed out, and it was exactly what we were saying last week. This thing is going to collapse under its own weight.
Yep, and it did.
Yeah, so what happened is probably the biggest name in the initiative, Natalia Casanova, known as Zombie Unicorn, was actually found to be quite the abuser herself.
Huh.
There were tweets from her past containing, abusive language and homophobic language. And to be honest, I don't give a crap about her saying those things. I think she has the right to say whatever she wants.
Yeah.
But if you want to preach that others shouldn't be doing these things, then you shouldn't be doing them yourselves.
Yeah, don't be a hypocrite.
Yeah. So super dumb. She actually issued this huge statement. I'm just going to read it. I can't begin to count the hours I've spent gaming online. In that time, I have seen every imaginable sort of harassing and threatening language. And yes, I've even used some of that language myself in a reactionary way. I regret that. But I don't regret my role in helping to raise awareness of this important issue if it means other women will be able to game online without fear or concern of being harassed. You can debate the merits of the execution, but I will always remain supportive of the overall goal and any programming that will help achieve it. I'm actively working with Bully Hunters on more solutions to help end harassment in gaming. So yeah, seriously? I'm completely unsure what should be said about her statement.
Yeah.
Is it that hard not to be a hypocrite? I don't think so.
No.
I will say this myself. I myself can sometimes be a jerk online. But I'm not saying others shouldn't be jerks online. I think that's just part of competitive environments.
Yeah, really.
And just deal with it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, imagine American football? Can you imagine if the fans would be like, oh, but he yelled that my team sucks at me.
Yeah. Oh my god.
No, when that happens, you're like, oh, fuck that guy, I'm going to beat him.
Yeah.
That's how you deal with this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. I've experienced that firsthand.
Who hasn't?
Yeah.
If you played any sort of competitive game, you will always find that one jerk. And it's part of their strategy, even though they might not be doing it consciously. It's part of their strategy.
Yeah.
And it's a good strategy because
Yeah.
obviously there are people who will get impacted by this and play worse.
Yeah.
So why not do it if you want to win? Then use
Yeah.
every tool at your disposal that isn't cheating.
That's right.
Just common sense, and we humans are so competitive by nature.
Yes.
So competitive. We need
Yes.
to learn to live with that fact.
Yep.
And I think the next piece of news actually illustrates how much of a competitive species we are. As this one is about a Fortnite player who decided that he wants to win in Fortnite so much that he doesn't care about the tornado that was ripping apart his neighborhood.
Oh my god.
Let me start by saying this. If you see a tornado, go fucking hide.
Yes.
So this is a story about Anton Williams from Greensboro, North Carolina. Who, well, yeah, that's the story. He kept playing Fortnite even though there was a fucking tornado in his neighborhood.
Dang.
He said he saw the roof ripped off of the house next door and he yet kept playing.
Wow. Wow.
And I think his statement just shows how blatantly, like, in the zone he was. Because his statement is so dumb, if you hear it loud, that it shows that he wasn't really thinking about anything else. His statement was, honestly, I was thinking about the game, but I was hoping everybody was okay around me. No, you didn't think about anybody else. You just didn't. That's so obvious. You were like, I need to get that kill.
Wait. At least he survived.
Well, yeah. If he died, I think we wouldn't be taking this topic so lightly.
Yeah.
Because right now, it's just... Nobody was hurt from the family. I don't know, like, about somebody from the neighborhood. Maybe somebody was hurt there.
Yeah.
There probably were, like, some bruises or something at the very least.
I'll say this, though. He must have had good internet connection, because if there was a tornado turning through his neighborhood, I'm surprised that he was able to keep up a connection on that.
Well, he actually stopped playing when the electricity stopped working because the wires were being ripped apart.
Oh, okay.
So my bigger concern was like, well, his electricity was pretty good. Because, you know, internet isn't so bad. That's usually underground, the cables.
Yeah, true.
But I know, especially in the US, a lot of your electric cables are above ground.
Yeah.
Here it's pretty common for them to be also underground, but still. It's sort of amazing.
Yeah, it is.
And the next piece of news is actually amusing on itself as well, in a different sort of right. So there's a video game collector named Julian Turner, who, you know, was just strolling around a flea market in Carlton in Georgia. And he was like, oh, there's some NES games. I don't have them. I'll just buy them, like any normal collector would do. And when he bought them, he, like, noticed they were heavier than usual. So he actually put them on a scale and found out they're like 50% more heavy than your average NES cartridge. So he opened them and found these little silvery packages inside. Then he opened one of them and there was this whitish, sort of beige powder in them.
Oh, wow.
Well, at that point he called the police. So there's really not that much... I'm sort of... when I was reading this, I was sort of like, so I decided to taste it. But he didn't do that.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, so at this point, we don't know what the drug actually was, but from the description, it sounds like either cocaine or heroin. And the games that it was hidden is roller games and golf.
Huh.
But the interesting part about this isn't the first thing that was found hidden in a cartridge of golf. As a few years ago, there was somebody who found $5,000 stashed in a different cartridge of golf. That was a good buy.
Yeah, really.
So if you have a cartridge of golf, you may want to open it. Maybe you will find some quality drugs or money inside.
Yeah.
People are so weird.
Yeah.
Okay, our next piece of news takes us away from the United States and takes us to Russia, where Twitch has been blocked in certain places.
Huh.
It's actually not Twitch being blocked. This is all because of encrypted messaging service that is called Telegram. And the Russian government has recently passed a few laws that says their encrypted messages are not allowed. And they asked the company to provide them with all the messages.
Yeah.
Luckily, the company actually didn't abide. They didn't release the encrypted messages. And that led to a bit of an overreaction by the Russian... Okay, this thing is hard to pronounce, and I actually speak a bit Russian. Roskomnadzor. Which essentially means Russian Communications Overwatch Security.
Okay.
That's a very rough translation. And they just started banning about 20 million IP addresses around the world from being accessed from Russia. And these IP addresses were majorly owned by Google and Amazon. And Amazon is the owner of Twitch. So Twitch was affected as well. Interestingly, not for all the Russians, as some claim that Twitch was perfectly accessible for them, even the streamers, but others came out and said we just cannot get there. So, yeah.
Dang.
So what do you make of this?
Well, I'll say this: if you live in Russia and you made a living on Twitch, I would say, I hope you can find another way to do your streaming.
Well, I'm pretty sure that it has been resolved at this point, or that it's going to be resolved.
Yeah.
Fairly soon, as both Google and Amazon do want to have positive relations with the Russian government.
Yeah.
The only problem is the Russian government is not really the fastest.
Yeah.
Like, there's like a common phrase in Russia, and let me try to roughly translate this, like, don't trust anybody you haven't bribed in the past 30 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And that's really the Russian, like, nature, and I actually know a lot about it, as there's a lot of Russians here in Czech Republic. It's just a nature to want money for services. And interestingly enough, I don't understand it. They were the original communists, and they want money for everything. I just don't get that. Okay, let's stay in Europe for a while and take a look at the Netherlands Gaming Authority, which has launched an investigation into 10 games and how they utilize loot boxes. The games are actually unnamed, but there are a few rumors going around. It's games like Dota 2, FIFA 18, PUBG, Rocket League. My personal guess is Counter-Strike Go, and probably a few others. But interesting, they actually found that 4 out of the 10 are against the law as it stands in the Netherlands.
Hmm.
And that is all because of the fact that the contents of these loot boxes can be traded at a real world market value. So you can trade them for real money. And that is illegal. You cannot provide gambling that allows you to get actual money unless you're, actually have the license to do gambling. So, do you think this is like a good middle ground for loot boxes? That only those that whose content cannot be traded are okay?
Honestly, well, it's still encouraging. Like for the ones that don't allow trading on the open market, I'll say it's still kind of bad, considering that there's still that addictive nature in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think loot boxes just need to go away finally.
Yeah.
And hopefully one day we will not have to talk about them anymore. Ever.
Yeah.
So let's not talk about them anymore right now, and let's talk about a new Doom movie being in the works at Universal Studios. So we got the news actually from a tweet by an actress who's named Nina Bergman, and she tweeted, "Wow, I'm doing the next Doom movie with Universal Pictures. I just signed all the paperwork. I get to go back to Bulgaria again and work with some of my favorite people. This movie with a super cool director and my new record coming out. I feel like the luckiest girl in the world, blah, blah, blah." So I actually had a little bit of a rant on this yesterday in the gaming news. So I want to know your opinion. Do you think a Doom movie can be good?
If they honestly, just about any game movie, any movie that's based off a game will suck. I'm just gonna say that right now.
Why? I think there are so many stories in games that could be done super well.
Yes, but well, yeah, of course, if they do it the right way. But I mean, shoot, I mean, it takes like Doom, for example, takes you like 7-8 hours just to complete it, and that's 7-8 hours worth of story right there.
Well, that's not really true. Like, how much story is there in Doom?
Yeah, true. But I'm saying though, how faithful can they stay true to the game that's based off of?
Well, that's the thing. I think Doom is like the perfect, let's call it universe or IP, to actually go with a movie. Because you don't have to give a shit about the story.
Yeah, true.
My only worry at this point is that they will again go with the horror genre. I don't think Doom is supposed to be a horror at this point. I think it just should be like an action spectacle.
Yeah.
And if it's done that way and is done correctly with good CGI, good action, good fights, the story just being, like, oh, there's an ancient weapon that we need to destroy or something, and here's our journey to go and destroy it. I know, it's just like, we need to close the portal to hell. That's literally all there needs to be to the story, like 5 minutes. So yeah, there's the portal to hell on Mars. We need to close it. You're our best guy, and you're going to go and close it. That's literally what I want from the story. I don't want anything else. And I actually think that if it's going to be done well, it could spark sort of a gaming universe. Not based on Doom. Doom is not the one you want to be making a universe off of. But there are game series like, let's say, The Elder Scrolls. The Elder Scrolls is just begging for a movie. And yes, you can say, well, how would you do that? There's like hundreds of hours of content in there. Yes, but the vast majority of the stories are like, I lost my puppy. Go please find my puppy. just focus on the main storyline, and because there's no gameplay in there, it's just a few action scenes between story, it could be done really well.
Yeah. I'll say this, so speaking of a gaming series, I can't want to see how the Witcher series does on Netflix.
I actually saw like an article about that today. They said something like 8 episodes and 2020 for a release date. And I'm super skeptical of that, but that's just because I fucking love the books and I know too much about the universe, and it will never live up to my personal expectations. But I honestly think it's time for a gaming universe to be set up.
Yeah.
And the fact is, you know, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is sort of coming to one of its ends. I know it will continue to exist even after Infinity War. The DCEU is just doing...
crap.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that, but I don't think it's crap. I just think it's trying to be something it shouldn't be. It actually has the same problem that gaming movies have. They are trying to be something else than they are supposed to be. But the MCU actually got it right. They were like, you know, fuck it, we're not going to have super complex stories. We're going to be all about just going into the cinema, shutting off your brain, and enjoying the pretty pictures. And if you wanted that bit of a story, you can just go and buy the comic books we are also producing.
Yeah.
And the same could be done for games. The movies are the thing. You go to watch the pretty pictures, and then if you like it, you go and buy the game. And there you actually have the story. Forget about the story. Movies are pretty pictures.
Not for everyone, they're not.
Oh, I know. But when we're on topic of gaming movies, is there any gaming movie you like?
I would say, in all honesty, a guilty pleasure that both me and my brother we have is watching the Mortal Kombat movie from 1995.
Yeah, the original one, not the sequels.
Yeah, the original one.
Yeah, no, I think the original one is decent. It's not great. It's a crappy 90s movie. It's like a C-flick. But it's enjoyable. But I personally think the Resident Evil movies.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah.
I think those are perfectly what gaming movies should be. They, you know, the story is non-existent, and it's all about the spectacle.
Yeah.
And if you want to make a movie based off a first-person shooter, that's how you do it. If you want to make a movie based off an RPG, then you can have bits and pieces of a story in there.
Yeah.
But not based off a first-person shooter. Just no. Okay, let's move on. Let's go back to America. Let's go back to high school. As the National Federation of State High Schools, which is the United States' primarily leadership organization for high school sports. Holy fuck, that's hard to say. They have recently embraced esports. But interesting enough, not shooters. Interestingly, they only go for a few specific genres. And only one of them, I think, is big. So the big one is MOBAs. There's sports, and then there's fighting games. So MOBAs are obvious. Sports, I guess, it's their thing. But I really don't understand the fact that fighting games are included, but not shooters.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to assume they're going to be like, oh, we don't want shooters because it makes kids shoot stuff. So if you're going to have fighting games, does that mean you're okay with kids punching each other? Because that's the logic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Also, I'm super confused that strategy games are nowhere to be mentioned. Like, what about StarCraft is the big daddy of all esports.
Yep.
And also, this might be included under sports games, but what about racing games?
Yeah.
If it's not included under sports games, I'm like super confused. Also, is Rocket League a racing game or a sports game? So, what do you think of this initiative, like on its own, without the exclusion of shooters?
I think it's freaking awesome that they're allowing students to do this. So on that, but the exclusion of like shooters and all that, and you have a lot of fighting games. I mean, come on now.
And what is you? Because I have an assumption on this, but I want to hear yours first. What is your assumption for the reason they are embracing esports now?
Well, because it's becoming the one of the biggest things now. I mean, there's a lot of money to be made if you're actually good at.
That's what I
games.
wanted to hear. Money.
Yes.
It's always about money. I don't think it's even like about the money that the students will make. It's more about the sponsorships the schools will get.
Yeah.
The money that will get funded into the school system.
Yeah.
But otherwise, there's really not that much to say. There are lots of universities that already did this. Few high schools did this already on their own. With also, I wanted to one more genre that's like completely eluding to me. What about card games?
Huh.
What like Hearthstone, Magic the Gathering, Gwent? Are those included? And they're one of the biggest esports there.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully they will come to their senses and just say like, fuck it, all games that can make us money are okay because we want money.
Yeah.
And our last piece of news today comes from Australia, as Valve has lost its final appeal in an Australian lawsuit concerning their lack of refund policy back in 2015. So I don't know how much you know about Steam and its refund policy. How much do you know? You know probably nothing, right?
Yeah.
So at the moment, as it stands, you can buy any game, play it up to 2 hours, and then refund it, just without any question, unless you finish it. And I think that's a fair deal, because otherwise you could buy like $1 worth of games and, you know, play it fully and then just return it and, yeah, I played it. I don't give a shit anymore. But until 2016, there was no refund policy at all. You could like write them and ask for a refund because like, I bought this game and it doesn't work. And it was all about like whether the guy who was reading your email was like in a good mood. Sometimes it would go through, but most of the time, honestly, they just said fuck off.
Yeah.
And in Australia, it was mandatory at that time to have some sort of a refund policy. And they just sort of didn't have, so they got sued. Initially, they lost, they appealed, they lost the appeal, they appealed again, they lost the second appeal, and there are no more appeals. And they're facing up to a $2.4 million fine. So, I'm going to say that's a decent sum. Interestingly enough, the Australian, what's it called fully? Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, ACCC, said that there are about 2.2 million Steam subscriber accounts in Australia, which essentially means that per every account they're paying $1 worth of fine.
Huh.
So I think they're fine in terms of their money. As Forbes says that just from these 2.2 million accounts, they probably made something like $5.5 billion.
Yep.
So I don't think they're going to be like, oh, what are we going to do? But obviously they're not going to be happy about a $2.5 million fine.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What are the refund policies on PlayStation, actually?
I do not know. All the games I buy, I keep, so...
You ever, like, misclicked and bought something you didn't want?
Nope.
Oh, well, then you're a better man than I am. Okay, and that was it for the news this week, and that means it's time for the recommendations. Shall I begin, or shall you begin?
You can go this time.
Okay, so I'm going to start with a game called Frostpunk, which calls itself a first society survival game. And you're essentially ruler of the last city on Earth after, I think it seems like there was an ice age.
Yeah.
And it's a city builder, just set in a very thematic setting.
Yeah.
And it looks freaking gorgeous. Like, it looks amazing. And the theme, Frostpunk, I think it could become like its own genre. Because it's not steampunk, but it looks sort of steampunky, but it's set all in a frozen wasteland. And it looks amazing. It's created by 11-Bit Studios. It's coming out on the 24th of April. And even though I suck at city builders, I'm 100% sure getting this. And if not making a review of it, as I think it's not my kind of game to make a review on, but I will be playing this off and off in my free time.
Yeah.
So what about you? What do you have to recommend?
Well, first I got this game called Swords of Ditto, which is coming to console this week. So
oh, that's interesting. It's one of the games I actually wrote the devs for this week. I think. Wait, let me load my mail. Yes, the Swords of Ditto, and I actually got a reply from them, from the devs, telling me to contact the publisher and not them.
Oh, okay.
But it looks quite good. It's coming to the PC as well.
Yeah.
When is it coming out?
I gotta go back and take a look.
Yeah, on PC it's on the 24th.
Yeah, I think that's around the same time that the PS4 and
the
rest of the versions are coming too. So
yeah, well, I was considering recommending this one as well. It seemed a little bit too cute-ish for me, I guess, to recommend. But yeah, I'm definitely hoping to get a review copy of this one, and this is one of those I'm hoping to make a review of.
Okay.
Okay, and my second game, and this one I will be reviewing 100%, is called Inked. It's coming out on the 26th, and it's your little action adventure indie game, but it's all, I don't know if it's drawn by pen, but it all looks like if it was drawn by a pen. And I just mean like, when you were doing sketches in school because you were bored, that's how it looks.
Huh.
And the graphical style is amazing, and I'm hoping the game is good, because I really, really, really want this to be good and to recommend it. I will be so pissed if this game is bad. So again, it's coming out on the 26th, so 4 more days. But yeah, it looks great. And I think it's set like in Japan, because it looks so.
Oh, wow.
Okay, you got anything else to recommend?
Yeah. Also, another game that's coming to consoles this week is called Death Road to Canada, which seems pretty interesting to me. So,
Death Road
to Canada.
Okay, it's coming to PC as well. Okay, what is this? I think I missed this one. Okay, I know why I missed it. It has zombies in it.
Yeah.
But interestingly, on PC it is already out.
Yeah.
Since 2016.
Yeah.
Man, you guys are getting your games late.
Yeah, why? If we're getting them late, that means they're a lot more polished than what they were on PC when they launched on there. So.
But yeah, it seems it has very positive reviews. 94% of reviews are positive.
Yeah. Yep.
Let me quickly try to get a negative review of this. How do I find a negative one? Here's the negative one. Okay, it's mindless. Yeah, it's just, I think his problem with this it's our random number generation, but that's sort of a point of these sort of games, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're on PC, you can go buy it right now and you don't have to wait.
Yep.
And do you got anything else to recommend? Because I did send a few more emails out this week. One of them was the Swords of Ditto. Then there was Muffled Warfare. Then there was a few games that I didn't send by email, but through the forums they have on their websites. Yeah. Then I guess this will be the end of the podcast, and it's time for shilling.
Yes.
You may shill.
All right. You can find me on YouTube as Tygergamer. You can find me on Steam at Tygergamer.
And you can find me as Kralizec on YouTube and as Kralizec on Steam as well. And we both hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please be so considerate and give us a thumbs up here. And maybe subscribe to the channel. Either way, be sure to check out our blogs. Be sure to check out the Steemit blog. And be sure to leave a comment and to tune in tomorrow as the gaming news series returns. With that being said, see you guys later with more gaming content.
You have a good one.